my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon. It's late on a Friday night. I got to see the new 2019 Greta Gerwig directed Little Women remake yesterday, and I wanted to come and talk to you guys about it because I have been looking forward to this movie for months. But the problem is I live in a really small town and we only get 1 or 2 new movies a week, and so unless you're like a Star Wars or a Marvel movie, you're probably not going to arrive in this town on time. But it finally arrived. I was very excited when I heard that news. And yeah, let's talk about it. So in this video, I'm kind of going to be talking about the things I loved about the remake, the things that I didn't love, because I'm coming at this from the perspective of someone who very much loves Little Women. It's been a story that I've loved since I was a child. I can remember going to see the 1994 version of the film with my Aunt Carolyn on, I think the day it came out. If not, it was on a Boxing Day, so it might have come out Christmas Day and then we went on Boxing Day. But we went and saw it and it was just, it stuck with me. It hit a chord deep inside of me that, I mean, I watch it all the time. I watch it every Christmas. It's like my kickoff to the holiday season is a watch of Little Women. I usually get it in a few times a year. I just love it, and I love the book, and I was really excited when I heard about this remake. First of all, the cast is absolutely stellar. We've got Emma Watson as Meg. There's Timothée Chalamet as Theodore Lawrence, Laurie. We've got Saoirse Ronan, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right, as Jo. Florence Pugh as Amy. There's just so many amazing casts. We had Laura Dern as Marmee, Meryl Streep as Aunt Jo, and then we even had Bob Odenkirk in there as the patriarch of the March family. A stellar cast. And Greta Gerwig is a very talented director. I find her very interesting. And when I heard that it was her who was remaking this film, I was so intrigued. She's such a young, hip director right now. Like she's just very it right now. And I couldn't wait to see her take on this film. For anyone who's stumbling across this video and knows nothing about Little Women, let me just give you a little brief synopsis here. It's the story of 4 sisters, Meg, Beth, Amy, and Jo. And it tells the sort of coming of age story of their lives over about a 7-year time period. And there's Meg. She's the eldest. She's the more serious sister, the very family-oriented sister. She wants to settle down and have a family of her own. There's Jo, who's the writer. She's kind of the independent, sort of progressive sister. Then there's Beth, who's just this sweet, shy sister who loves music so much and is a very talented piano player. And then finally there's Amy, who's the youngest of the 4. She's the most materialistic of them, and she has dreams of becoming a famous painter one day. So that's the basic gist of it. And let me just tell you, I loved this movie. I did. I'm gonna get into the things that I didn't love about it, but overall, I thought it was well done. The actors were spectacular. The music is beautiful. It's very aesthetically pleasing. There's just so much I love about it, and I can't wait, in fact, to see it again once it comes out on Blu-ray or is on one of the streaming services. I will definitely be watching it again. That being said, the 1994 version, starring Winona Ryder and Christian Bale, is still my #1 favorite. And I went into the theater, I was like, what if I come out and this is my favorite? I didn't know how I was gonna process that if that's what happened, but that's not what happened. So we don't have to worry about it. So the first thing that I didn't love about it, but I got used to as the film went on, was it's not told in chronological order. It kind of jumps around in time, and the film starts smack dab in the middle of the book. And it kind of goes back and forth bits, which As someone who's very familiar with the story, that was fine, but I wondered about like people who were just coming to see this film who didn't really have any history with it, how they would find it. And maybe they found it fine. I went with my husband. He was a real doll and came with me, even though I know this is not a movie that he would pick on his own to go see, but he knew how excited I was about it. And there was no question. He was like, yes, of course I'll go with you. And I mean, he was able to keep up. So it's not that big a deal. I just liked it better when it goes from beginning to end. The kind of key or marker that they have to show, whether we're in the more recent time period or 7 years before, is a change in sort of filter over the film. And this kind of leads into my next point, which is that they have the same actress playing Amy in both time periods. And if you've seen the 1994 version, they have Kirsten Dunst playing her when she's a little girl. And then they have Samantha Mathis playing her as a woman. And I loved that. I feel like that character goes through the greatest change in terms of going from like a 12-year-old or 13-year-old to a 20-year-old. So she's going to have the most physical changes out of everybody. So the actress they had to play her, I'll insert a picture here, is gorgeous, stunning. She was amazing in this film. But to me, when she's young Amy, which again puts her at about 12 or 13, she looks a bit too old. Like, I'm looking at her, watching her play young Amy, while knowing that's a grown-ass woman. Like, she's, in real life, she's like 24 years old. And while she looks younger than 24, she doesn't look 12. And the one scene when they're walking to school and Amy's talking about limes, how all the girls are trading limes and she doesn't have any money for it. It just feels very out of place coming out of this woman's mouth when you know that this is a very much child problem. And that was a little off-putting to me, and I don't know why Greta Gerwig decided to do that. Maybe she thought Florence looked young enough to pull it off, but to me it just didn't work. And it took me out of it a little bit every time she was young Amy with young Amy problems. Yeah, so there's that. Next up is the matter of Laurie. Theodore Lawrence, played in the 1994 version by Christian Bale, and played in the 2019 version by Timothée Chalamet. Now, I was 13 years old when I saw this movie, and I went to the theater, and like I said at the beginning of this video, I was transformed by the end of the film. It hit me so deeply, and part of that was falling in love. And part of that was falling in love with Christian Bale as Laurie. He just punched me right in the feelings. I was taken with him immediately. So going into this new remake, I knew I was gonna have a problem with the new Laurie. Which is funny because Timothée Chalamet is a beautiful, talented actor. You know, he's been in Call Me By Your Name, Beautiful Boy, so many other things. I think he was in Lady Bird as well, Greta Gerwig's, one of her other films. And I love him, but I just knew I wasn't gonna feel him as Laurie. Now, I didn't hate it, don't get me wrong. He had that sort of cockiness about him that Laurie has, that sort of, I don't even know, that je ne sais quoi that Christian Bale also brought to Laurie. But to me, Timothy looked a little too young. Now, first I was complaining someone looked too old. Now I'm complaining someone looked too young. But yeah, he just looked a little too young for me, even though he's around the same age Christian Bale was when he played Laurie. So truly this point is more of a me problem and less a Timothée Chalamet problem. He's fine. And I know there are a ton of young girls right now that love him. And I'm very sure that they will love him in this role. They'll eat it up, and he'll be a favorite, you know, 20, 30 years from now when they do this again. There'll be many girls who were teenagers when they saw this who will just not be able to accept the new Laurie because they will have fallen in love with Timothy in the role. So that's a me problem, I know that. The one thing that I do want to touch on that I absolutely loved about the remake is the ending. So this, I'm trying to think if I'm going to be spoiling anything here right now. I don't think so, but if you haven't seen the ending and you don't want to know anything about it, click off now. But the way the story ends is Jo selling her novel. And there's this scene where she goes in and she's sort of bartering, or not bartering, what's the word? Negotiating. She's negotiating a contract with the publisher, and they're going back and forth about the percentage that she wants. If she wants to sell the royalties, he's trying to get those royalties from her. But she's holding staunch that she wants to keep them, you know. And all of the numbers and figures that they come up with by the end of the scene are the real numbers and figures that Louisa May Alcott fought for Little Women. And I really loved that. And there were a bunch of just little details from Louisa May Alcott's life that Greta kind of infused Jo's character with. And there were kind of a few little winks that it felt like Greta giving a wink to Louisa May Alcott, as though she was making this for her. Like, look at this. This is for you. And I really, really loved that. And I got goosebumps just talking about that. And so yeah, those were my sort of petty grievances with the film. But like I said, all in all, I quite enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see it again. And the actors were fantastic. And Greta Gerwig is very talented. So there you go, you guys. Those are my thoughts. Let me know down below if you've seen the movie, what you thought of it. Which version of Little Women is your favorite? In this video, I've only mentioned the 2019 version and the 1994 version, but maybe your favorite goes back even further. Maybe you like the 1939 version or the 1946 version. I don't know if I'm getting those years right, but because of course Katharine Hepburn at one point played Jo March. I think that was in the 39 version. Anyway, let me know which version is your favorite. Have you seen this movie? Did you love it? Which of the March sisters is your favorite? Which is the one that you resonate the most with? I feel like we all have a March sister inside of us, or some combination of a March sister. That was something I always spent a lot of time pondering when I was a teenager. I can remember asking my mom which one she thought I would be. So there you go. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. This is kind of just a bonus weekend video. I will see you on Monday with another vlog. Bye, guys.